Well, hello and welcome to Raj Sabha TV. You're watching India Fights Back with a host, Rajat Kain. In this episode, we'll once again take up the subject of Delta variant of COVID-19 and what is to be done, what we ourselves can do so as to contain the spread of Delta variant. Now, to put things in perspective, Delta variant is, variant of interest to variant of concern depending on whichever country you are in. In India, Delta variant has been extremely severe to say off in terms of its spread, severity, and of course, like the effect it had during the second wave, that is during April and May of this year. It was catastrophic here. A lot of people lost their lives. There was massive shortage of oxygen. And even today, after months of recovering from COVID-19, as per reports, people still continue to have post-COVID complications courtesy Delta variant. So, to discuss further on this issue, we are joined with Dr. Dhruva Chaudhry. He's Head of Pulmonary Department, Pandit B.D. Sharma, PGIMS Rohtak, and also State Nodal Officer for COVID-19 in the state of Haryana. Many thanks, Dr. Chaudhry, to be part of the show, and Dr. B.L. Sherwal, he's Director, Rajiv Gandhi Superspeciality Hospital, Delhi. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. Let me start with you, Dr. Chaudhry, first. Lot has been said, written and discussed about Delta variant. It continues to be cause of concern today. What are the reasons?
You see, Delta variant was the one which spread throughout the country and was responsible for the catastrophic events which you have very rightly described. But what is important from the perspective is that A, when it happened, we had a very little population which has been vaccinated. And secondly, because of which it took actually such a huge, because of which everybody is now talking about is its infectivity. I think that was another thing which has happened. Because of the genetic changes which took place within the virus, it led to it increased capacity to produce itself. And then because of the consequence of that, we saw that it was able to very quickly spread. And not only it got quickly spread, but along with it, what we observed and what saw was that the duration of incubation period, which was taking on an average time 5 to 6 days, though time is from 1 to 7 days, we saw it shortening down to 2.5 days.
Right.
So in nutshell, if I summarize and say it became more infective, more easily able to spread, and also because when large number of people got infected simultaneously in an unvaccinated population group in particular, you could very well expect what could have happened and what has happened. In addition, additional thing what we observed and saw, and now the data is emerging now,
Right.
the people who were vaccinated fully or partially, they also had the disease. But what was gratifying was when we compared with other thing was that severity of the disease fortunately was lesser in the people who had vaccination.
Okay. That's important. We'll definitely discuss this aspect of vaccination vis-a-vis the Delta variant, but let's first have the preliminaries here. Dr. B.L. Sherwal, many thanks for waiting, sir. Sir, as we just discussed and Dr. Chaudhry explained what caused uptick in terms of, Delta variant. Now, if we talk about, say, the basic COVID-appropriate behavior, was this alone the reason, or there were indeed, issues of reinfection or the breakthrough infections? What possibly explains such a extent of spread of Delta variant?
When we have seen particularly in India, we have seen the period, the peak of the first wave in the month of September, and then in Delhi, particularly in the month of November. And then January, February, basically we was so relaxed, and basically it was a lull period as far as number of cases were concerned. So the people were relaxed, and the government was also relaxed, and all the economy front need to be open. And the one thing which you have said, that COVID appropriate behavior.
Mhm.
It is one of the most important thing to contain any disease, what you talk of the COVID. But when there is a pandemic and that is infectious, so that is the first thing that we need to have proper masking. We need to maintain the distance, and we need to maintain the sanitation, that is hand washing. So these are very important. Now, because of the number of cases going low, so naturally people were relaxed at that time. And luckily, during the period in the month of March and April, there were so many social functions. There was a marriage season, and there were Kumbh and all. Even in some state, there were elections. So combined together, when you see that so many social activities and no COVID appropriate behavior was being observed in majority of the places we have seen. So those people who have been there in the Kumbh Mela or have gone to the political rallies, they are now going from one place to another place and then carrying infection with them, and they are transmitting it. That was one. And during that period, we have not heard of any COVID variant at that time, and we were only talking about that the COVID is having incubation period, as Dr. Dhruva has just said. It was comparatively higher, that is 5 to 7 days, and even infectivity was not of that higher. But we have seen in the second wave, suddenly the number of cases have started rising, which we have not seen in the first wave. The peak had just, we have seen in Holi, I think there were only cases which were in 100 in Delhi. I think it was 300. But after 10 days or 10 to 12 days, we have seen that suddenly, massive number of cases.
Cases are in thousands. You're right, sir. You're right.
On 20th of April, Delhi has seen 28,395 cases, and then lockdown was imposed in Delhi. So this was in a matter of 2 weeks, actually, number of cases has risen. So that was the reason that infectivity of that variant. That time we were not aware, but now, after that, when genome sequencing was done, it is found that majority of the patients were infected with the Delta variant. And not only in Delhi, but also in majority of the northern part, whether it's Punjab, Haryana, or UP, everywhere we have seen that, even West Bengal. So it was Delta variant. And then you have talked about the breakthrough of the vaccination. We have seen that in the beginning, actually, not only in India, but everywhere, the vaccine hesitancy was there, then shortage of the vaccines again, and the pace of the vaccination was another concern, supply of the vaccination was another concern. Then after even the vaccination, we have seen that, people are getting
Dr. Sherwal, we just hold on, sir. We'll take up the issue of breakthrough infection. That's really important. But just one small question I need to squeeze in here. I mean, as you said, we were sort of caught off guard during the second wave as numbers started rising exponentially here. I'll just come back to you, sir. Dr. Chaudhry, you also agree, I mean, since we were caught unaware and, numbers suddenly, it just rose from hundreds to thousands, are we better protected today in terms of A, infrastructure, and number of people vaccinated?
You see, I agree with Dr. Sherwal. In fact, everything started with Maharashtra. If you really look at the Yavatmal, Amravati, and that area of Vidarbha was the one from where it started. And then you had the municipal, then you had the panchayat elections marching towards western world. In Haryana to begin with, or Punjab to begin with, in the month of March, we were seeing the increased cases. And there we found out that it was primarily the alpha variant. Now the Delta variant actually started coming from the Delhi to the rest of the places.
Okay.
And it exploded. And now we had the tsunamis in all the states along with it. And similarly in UP, it was the state panchayat elections which were responsible actually for the spread. And that's what he said, the social events have become the super spreading event. And not because they became the vehicle for the spread. But the virus itself has undergone a transformation or a change in order to survive yourself. That is why you will see the so-called the virus values within people were so high that what we have, you must have been that the word has become very famous, the CT value, cycle threshold value. It's not the CT scans, but it's the CT value of PCR. In the first wave, when we started, we had the first variant which was there, D684. So what we found at that point of time, it was 30s, late 20s. Here we were finding it was 15, 16, less than 20, a very heavy load. So the reason with that was that the whole families got infected. Last time we were finding nearly 1/3 of the families were infected, not the whole. So that's what we found out. So you had three things there: infectivity, virus obviously going under mutation, and then you had the virus spread. So that is there. And there were signs were there, but probably I think we were overconfident. We ignored it whenever it was there. I think you were very right to say that we were caught off guard. But unfortunately, when you look at the data, it was there. People were talking about it, but they were called alarmists. One part. Now, second part, as far as the infrastructure is there. Now, once also something amazing in our country is that we are very good in crisis management, but we are very poor as far as the poor proper planning is concerned. Now, fortunately, one lesson everybody has learned, that the consequences of health are devastating both socially and economically. Therefore, if we want to keep our social and economic aspect intact, so health is an important part. So it has come onto the agenda. You must have seen now more than 23,000 crores have been put into it by the government of India to strengthen it. Now today, we are over-flooded with the oxygen generating plants, especially the which create oxygen at the PSA plants, which are there, and pressure swing absorption plants which are there. Now in my own institution, we have got three. So probably one component which has going to go in favor of it is that hospital infrastructure will be better. We are already putting oxygen pipelines. We are seeing it more. Generation things are there. Supply chains are maintained. Because it's not only you create things, but supply chain management for the liquid oxygen needs to be there. Because here we have to be very careful because each plant has a capacity to deliver it. So we are augmenting now beds. Now, suddenly we realized it from somewhere the things came up that children will get more infected. Good part of us that people are becoming aware about it. They're getting trained. They're trying to create an infrastructure. But the negative spin-off is that it was without any scientific evidence. Therefore, people start going all towards the children. Remember one thing. Now, the data clearly showing it that children probably are as much infected and affected by the second as in the first wave also. But the disease was not severe, except that we are romanticizing that multisystem inflammatory syndrome. It is definitely there. But I think we should not be alarmist. We should be aware about it. So important component along with infrastructure is the training. Now, the government of India has taken it seriously. The state governments have taken it seriously. Now, huge training programs have started. Protocols are being written. So I am expecting that probably whenever the third wave comes, so we will be very well prepared, ready, and our protocols will be on place because we saw complete havoc and anarchy as far as the management protocols were concerned. Finally, you asked me in terms of one was infrastructure and the second you were talking about the vaccination.
Numbers of people vaccinated, yes, sir.
Now, the spin of it is what has happened. The spin of it has happened is because of fear now, suddenly we saw a surge. And we are all very fond of melas, shoshas. So we started having vaccine melas. And that's how it started up. The numbers are picked up, but we increased the denominator without relying actually under the pressure. We had a flumfoxing on the policies. Again, we are seeing the same problem. But nevertheless, what we know is that from 18 onwards, everybody is now part of it. But main thing is how we ensure adequate supply of vaccines. That is what the problem is. Probably Covishield, still we can go away with it. In Covaxin, if we don't give it within 4 to 6 weeks, I don't have a data at all. But for the Covishield, yes, people have taken advantage of stepping up from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, and then now
stepping 12 to 14. Yeah.
So that gives us a chance of at least increasing the number of vaccination. In my own state, more than 1 crore people, that means nearly 40% of the people in the state of Haryana already have been vaccinated. So out of them, again, this 40%, I will say nearly 1/3 of them have 2 vaccines, and gradually we are going up. So initially the hesitancy has come up. The scare now got better of it rather than anything else. So I think each state is going up, but we must remember one thing. India is very heterogeneous. Each state is like a country of Europe. It's a limited resource and expansion. We are going rapidly about it. So which usually takes 2 to 4 years. I think it's and the first time it is happening that during active disease process, such a massive vaccination programs are going on. Otherwise, most of the time, even if you see, I give you a very simple example like Kumbh Mela, people used to be vaccinated for typhoid and cholera prior to that. But it is for the first time we are seeing during the active infective processes, we are vaccinating the people for the first time. And no wonder that the people, when getting vaccinated, the virus is coming under a lot of stress. And the way they quickly do it, in order to survive, they're also changing their character. So that you call it as variants or you call it as a mutation because it has also to survive. So vaccination pressure itself is getting onto the virus. So we need to be careful. I do not expect a third wave to be as serious unless and until we have a new variant which have a capacity to break through the vaccination or unvaccinated, even we say 20-30%. That number is so large because of, in absolute terms, because of our population. I think so. These are the practical issues which are there when we discuss. We need to look at the logistics and operational challenges before criticizing anything.
Absolutely. This is really important. And as you know, more and more people are getting vaccinated. So of course, like that somehow brings the cover. And that's my other question. Dr. Sherwal, you talked about in your last remarks, you talked about the breakthrough phenomenon. Now, how common do we see this phenomenon of breakthrough? For our viewers, breakthrough means having reinfected or having a relapse of the same infection for which we have already taken vaccine. So, sir, how often do we see the phenomenon of breakthrough? And also, Dr. Sherwal, would the vaccine provide a good cover for breakthrough in future?
Yes, we have been observing, even before the vaccine, the people when they used to get COVID infection, then again after a few months, the same person will come back to you and then say the COVID test is coming positive. Earlier we were thinking it is the same, episode, but later on it has been documented that patients can be reinfected, and now there are on record that patients are reinfected even thrice. So that is a sort of breakthrough of the immunity of the person which have got during the first infection and the second infection. Similarly, now the people are getting vaccination, and there are data now that who are vaccination. There is one class who have got the one dose and they got infections during the first week or second week of the vaccine. So there I'll say that the chances are there he might have been in the incubation period, or during that period when he has gone on the vaccination side, there may be some lapse in the COVID appropriate behavior. So that have increased, few number are coming that they are showing positivity in the first or second week of after the vaccination of the first dose. Even people can get infections even after getting the second dose, but the number is less. Moreover, when we'll see that vaccine-inactivated people, we will find that the severity in majority of those cases is less. Admissions, to the hospitalization will be decreased, and severity, only I think 4 to 5% people develop the severe cases. Otherwise, majority of them are either asymptomatic or milder form. So that is one good thing. That is why come or go, whatever the variant, whatever the vaccine we have, we should not hesitate, and we should advocate that vaccine, whatever the available as per availability region wise. So they should go for vaccine as soon as possible. And as Dr. Dhruva has said, for co-vaccine, should take vaccine as per schedule, that is 4 to 5 or 6 weeks, not more than that. But Covishield, relax. For co-vaccine, we have to take it.
So, Dr. Sherwal, you mean that so far the data which you have after having taken both the doses of vaccine, if there is a breakthrough in any of the recipient or a patient, that's not would be possibly that won't be categorized as a concerning thing.
So that is always, see, we have to understand that vaccination is, it do not prevent infection.
Okay.
It do not prevent infection. The person can get infection. It is, in the form of the antibodies, it is producing the immunity against the disease. But once that disease enter in the body, then it will come into action. Antibodies or cellular immunity, whatever the person has got after the vaccination. But it do not stop the entry of the virus or bacteria against which vaccination has been done. So it is after it start multiplying and it start showing the symptom and disease, and then the immunity work. And it depends on that how much immunity has been developed after the vaccination. So how it get neutralizing the virus or clear virus from the body. So that is very, very important. Still, it will depend. As in the Delta, we have seen that one is the incubation period and infectivity is very high, and the viral load has been found when they have cultured from the oropharynx or nasal area. It has been found that the viral load is very high, and number of copies, you say it is more than 1,000 times as compared to earlier variant. So that is also important, that how and which virus has been there, and whether it is safe. And in some time we are responder also, like people have got infection but they have not got antibodies region in their body. So that is also a matter of concern. So that is why we are also now talking about giving boosters.
I was coming to there. please carry on, sir. Yeah, I was just going there. Booster dose. Just hold on. As we close the show, I mean, Dr. Sherwal, your closing remark. Should we be looking at the concept of booster dose as a possibility in time to come? Dr. Chaudhry, I'll come back to you with the same question, sir. Yes, Dr. Sherwal.
Yeah, it will depend on the data. Actually, we have to see that studies are there. Even we have done some data we have collected, and we are going to analyze. And let us see that what is the number people are showing the antibodies and whether they are productive and they are adequate in number. So depending on that, it can be recommended that booster dose in not in near future, but because we are really struggling to give the 2 doses, and if we will advocate the booster dose, then it depends on the data. It is the evidence-based medicine nowadays, and if we can say that how much protection with the 2 doses, and if we make it the 3rd dose also, that is a booster 3rd dose, I think it will increase. So that will be depending on the data available, and the evidence is there. Definitely expert will examine that, and that will be allowed.
Right, sir. Dr. Chaudhry, your take, the concept of booster dose, I know it's gaining traction in terms of more of an academic debate that we are seeing, but in near future, do you think a possibility? I know we're struggling with vaccinating the entire population, both the doses, and third dose could be an added, thing. But otherwise, speaking of third dose, sir.
Rajat, I think that's where we are moving right now. Already, Bharat Biotech is talking in terms of having the third dose as a part of the trial, which they have finished the original trial and offering it to the people and see how antibody responses are there. And similarly, Pfizer also has asked for a third dose booster trial. I think it's still, you see, the problem again, I've been telling in your show also and other places also is that everything is running concurrently. And we are trying to get an answer which you get only on the long-term basis. I think what is important for us to remember is vaccination is the key. You again need to, first we need to vaccinate the people first. I think for me that is the priority. Right. And those who have been vaccinated, like your healthcare workers, frontline workers, there we can see and look at it because the data which is showing up, as what Dr. Sherwal talked about is, public health England is not more than 10% had vaccinated. If you see the armed forces, this journal has come up with the data of the army people who have been vaccinated, you will realize that it is saying 93% protection by Covishield. That is what they have given it in the armed forces. So 7% breakthrough infections, they are seeing it up. So which is roughly equivalent to it. But you see the efficacy of each vaccine. Against Delta variant, it has gone down. The data which has just been published in New England Journal of Medicine. Why I am giving you this data? Because that is where the things are coming up in terms of additional dose of vaccine. And once we see after that, if your breakthrough infections are much more, then probably we will be going for it. 1 year data is very clear, not more than 10% breakthrough infection is there. We need to understand much more about immunity. We need to sit down in the labs in the field to see the answers. And quite often now, what I am realizing is policy and treatments and other things have been decided in the TV channels, which probably is good to make an awareness about it, but it itself has created its own challenges. But nevertheless, yes, this is something, as Dr. Sherwal said, we are looking at it. If we find that the breakthrough infections are much higher or in the people who are there, I'm sitting in front of you. I had a breakthrough infection. I had the first COVID, then I had a vaccination, then I had the second COVID. And when we got this thing, it has been a Delta variant. But fortunately, it was nothing more than a little cough, a low-grade fever. And so the point I'm saying is, these things will stay around. The only thing we need to be careful, we need to be watchful, and we should follow the science and the common sense. I think that is what is going to take us off. And when you talk in terms of COVID-appropriate behavior, everybody is talking like a parrot. Somehow, I personally feel, looking at the population density, to saying that you have a 6 feet distance practically impractical for us. What is most important is mask, and preferably double mask if you can. And if everybody is wearing it, it reduces transmission by 90%. I think let's talk about in terms of practical things. And I agree, that's an ideal thing if we can do it. I'm not saying about it from the perspective of science, but from where it is spreading, from the aerosols, what you speak, when you talk, when if you protect, you protect everyone.
Sure. Dr. Chaudhry, I'm sorry I have to stop you here. Time is short, but certainly it's really important that we first have to, we look at these signs, and of course we should follow COVID-appropriate behavior so as to contain and stop the spread. Many thanks, Dr. Chaudhry and Dr. B.L. Sherwal, for joining us. Pleasure having both of you on the show. And many thanks to our viewers for watching this edition of IFB. Thank you. Goodbye.